Hello, everyone. My name is Nick Babino, and I am the owner of Limitless Life Coaching. And welcome to the very first segment of Living a Limitless Life. Through Limitless Life Coaching, I am a personal development coach. What that means is I help people or align with people to help them become their best selves. And I work with them to help set goals and help them build the confidence and this self-assurance that they can overcome any challenge that is presented to them in any area of their life. And if you were to dig deeper into what personal development looks like, you could think of it as like a wheel or a life wheel, rather. So in this wheel, our lives are comprised of different areas such as growth and learning. That may be like going back to school or just continuing education, spirituality, money and finance, career and work, health and fitness, fun and recreation, environmental, community, family and friends, and partners in love. And any one of those areas can affect the other. You know, if, for example, in this life wheel, if you were to rate each area from a scale of 1 to 10, let's say in partners in love, if you're rating it at like a 4 or a 3, that may affect your career and work. Maybe not right off the bat, but eventually, the things that we struggle with in our personal lives may begin to pour out into other into the other areas of our lives, such as career. Um, how many times have we gone to work and had a bad day because your boss was breathing down your neck? Clients or customers, were just very challenging. And then on top of that, you have employees or you are an employee and other employees are just really, it just seems like you're being pulled into many directions. And by the end of the day, you were just so mentally drained that when you walk through that front door, you don't have a capacity to, you know, give your kids the attention that they deserve, or to look at your wife and just, to be overflowing with love, even though you still love her, but you are just so mentally drained that all you want is just to relax. And maybe on top of that, if we want to, continue on with this example, maybe um finances are, are a little tight, you're a sole provider, or Well, maybe both of you are working, but there's just been a lot of bills coming in and just not a lot of money, flowing in to offset those bills. And let's tack on, maybe health and fitness. I mean, you've been really wanting to make some changes into your life, you want to start dieting, start losing weight, we're about 5 months in to the new year and you began working out, and you just the craziness of your schedule hasn't allowed you to continue, remain sustainable with those changes that you've made. So in the back of your mind, you're kind of beating yourself up because you told yourself, I'm going to start working out from now on, and I'm going to start making dietary changes. But yet maybe your partner, family, whomever is, directly involved with your life may not be following those same patterns. So for every day that or every moment that you are not, you know, following through with the goals and the wants that you want to get out of life, you're kind of beating yourself up, and those things are weighing down on you, money, finance, having that tough day at work, or maybe it's a tough season at work. Maybe your relationship is in strain because you're not providing the or giving them the attention because that they deserve because maybe you're wrapped up in money. Maybe you're wanting a promotion and just when that opportunity came, they overlooked you and went somewhere else. So now you're kind of holding resentment to your job, which is then pouring out into your relationship. And you're taking that bitterness and just maybe not directly, but indirectly, just not being present in your relationship. And then maybe there's not much fun and recreation in your life. Maybe you've been wanting to get back into tennis. Or maybe there's a softball league that you want to get involved with, or even it's just a matter of, maybe going canoe. It doesn't even have to be active. Whatever your hobby is, whatever that release is for you, you haven't been able to do it because you've just been so focused on everybody else in your life. And being that you've been so focused on, and when I say everybody, it could be just your family or, just your partner. It could even just be yourself, maybe, and which leads to maybe there's not a whole lot of community in your life. You begin, with all these stresses and everything just weighing down on you, maybe you're starting to isolate yourself. You're starting to isolate yourself from, the rest of the community, your work community, maybe um the community within your hobby, your family, your friends, your close friends. You're starting to feel like, you know, that you're alone in this, that you're the only one, even though you have a family, even though you have kids that just love you and just, look up to you. Or maybe you have older kids and getting into the teenage years and maybe they're starting to go off on their own. And, we can call them the difficult teens because, they're starting to develop their own image and starting to challenge, what it is us parents look to do, look to instill in them. And that's when they start testing the waters of life and they think that they're invincible and go out and, do everything, everything else and take the risks. And, and that's just a season as well, through um Erickson's, lifespan development, eventually, as we grow up in our lives, our minds begin to mature and we also start recognizing the limitations that we have, what we can and can't do, what is right or from wrong. And, so even though if you're one of those that, one of those people that are, dealing with difficult teens or, that's just a season, but it's quick to get discouraged, especially when you're so, when you think back to, your little child and, the person who looked up to you. And now it just seems like they're challenging everything that you're throwing at them. But isolation is never good, isolating yourself from your family, you start getting into this spiral effect and interwoven in this web of lies that, you are the only one. You can't share with anyone what it is you're working through or overcoming. And, you kind of just build that in, this weight that you're carrying on your shoulders. Um, you feel is only for you, that only you can carry this. And that, it's only you working through all this. And that's where, as a personal development coach, no, I am not a personal trainer in health or in working out. I'm not a dietary coach. No, I am not a relationship coach. But what I love about personal development is that, when you take this life wheel and you're able um, to be able to work on each of those areas of your life, and set goals, find out a vision that you want for your life and where are the areas that you need to work on. And every session, every week on this journey is never the same because, I may come to a coach saying, "Hey, I want to find, I want to have a relationship with someone." And all right, well, let's look at, the various areas of your life that, maybe either hindering you from doing that, and even the areas that are that can help you to accomplish that. And I know for me, when I was at my lowest low, I was really wrapped up in loneliness. So let's dive into that, loneliness. Why was I lonely? Well, it was because I felt that I needed to be in a relationship in order to feel um, valued or a sense of self-worth. And that's something to note too, that I wasn't feeling self-worth. I was doing different things in my life to distract myself from my thoughts. I was running away from the things that I truly needed to face. And that looked like, you know, different examples. And as we go along in the podcast, I'm going to share some of my personal testimony, because being a personal development coach, I too have a passion in personal development. I have gone through a transformation myself, and it's been a long road. And, I've read different books and I have listened to different speakers. This is not a this is spiritual based, but no, I don't push any one form of spirituality on anyone, but I had to tap back into my spirituality, and that also helped me. I had to tap into my support group, my wise counsel. And then even working with coaches, and I've worked with various coaches, and that is what's helped me in my transformative journey from being someone who is at the lowest of his low. And again, as we go along, I will share, what that low looked like. And, you know, being someone that lived a limited life versus someone who's living a limitless life. And what does a limitless life look like? Well, that can look different for anybody. I know for me, we are we are the people, and we live the stories of our lives that we tell ourselves. So whatever fear you have, whatever anxiety, whatever limitation you set for yourself, I can't go to the gym because XYZ, or I can't work out, because I'm in pain, or I don't know if I can work. You know, I haven't worked in 30 years. I've been a stay-at-home mother, or we can also say I've been a stay-at-home father. I don't know what that would look like. I don't know what working would look like. I don't know what I'm interested in. I don't know if I want to go back to school, or I don't know if I can go back to school, because I'm raising a family, and, school just costs so much money, and, finances are tough, and, you know, and these are just some brief examples of what living a limited life would look like versus living a limitless life. A limitless life is recognizing the limitations or the challenges that may be in our lives, but it's being adaptable and resilient and confident, and to persevere through those challenges. because there is not a challenge in our lives that isn't accomplishable, that isn't able to be overcame, to achieve our goals. It's very interesting that when we are children, we have all these hopes and dreams. Our life wheel is pretty much, if not tens, they are higher than fives, across the board or around, around that wheel, and, we strive for love, we strive for connection with others. We have all this resilience and confidence, and we're able to make new friends and go into new environments and meet new people and share our story and not have any shame on as to um no shame or not caring as to what other people think of us. We yearn to learn. In some capacity, it may not be in school. It may not be from our parents, but being on our phones and, TikToking or, to some capacity, we yearn to learn. And and if you grow up in a family that has spirituality in it, whether it's religion, whether it's just whatever, you know, open-minded to it. We wanna have all the money. We wanna have all the finance. We want the big house, the big nice cars, and, family. Maybe for those who don't want a family, it's just having that spouse or, maybe just growing up single, whatever that dream looks like, you know, and, um, and just having fun. When we're out with our spending time with our friends. Nowadays it's playing video games and, um communicating over headphones and whatnot, but also just going outside, getting into sports and just playing soccer or, whatever it may be. We have this spirit about us when we're kids that we just want so much. The world is our oyster and just the whiteboard, really. And we just want to paint or draw on this whiteboard. And, and then as we get older, life, our environments, and the people and just whatever, we start limiting ourselves, our story or our vision at whiteboard, slowly becomes a blackboard. And it's more about, we're on a whiteboard, you could throw all these different colors. Yeah, on a blackboard, you could do the same, but you have to use a lighter color in order to show up on that blackboard, and it becomes dark almost, especially maybe more for some rather than for others. But, we start having a little bit more shame. We start becoming afraid of public speaking. Here as a kid, you may have been in a school choir or, whatever, or singing and performing in front of all these people, and then as we get older, you're afraid to speak in front of people. You're afraid of doing a presentation because you're worried about the judgments that others are going to relay to you, or maybe even not relate to you, but relay to others. We start caring about what others think, and we may start telling ourselves. I know for me, when I was in that state of loneliness, as I got older, my dream was to always have a family, and my dream was to get married at a young age and to have a family at a young age. And I wanted that high school sweetheart, I wanted that storybook Hallmark, story that, you find, your high school sweetheart, and you just go up through life and just live life together. You build a family and just one and done. And then as I got older, that dream was, steadily fading fast. And I began telling myself that, the longer I'm staying single, the longer, the less of a chance for me to have that family. And it's because of the limits that I was setting myself. Oh, I had to be with someone for 5 years before I can marry them. So if I'm this age now, and then by the time, we're able to get married, because I wanted to be married first and then to have kids, and a lot of that was trust issues, and mainly because I didn't trust others, but more importantly, I didn't trust myself. I didn't value myself. And, I started falling into other things, and it was because I was telling myself that maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I don't deserve this. At one point before I met my wife, I was at a crossroads, it seems. I was at a point, drinking was starting to, show back up into my life. And um, before I met my wife, I felt like I was at a point to where I felt myself either going to be living a life single and really have no regard for other people, you know, or luckily I found her. And we began dating, I was telling myself, if this doesn't work out, then, well, I probably won't try again, because in some aspects it was seeming too good to be true. That was just the loneliness speaking to myself. That was my lack of self-confidence and self-worth speaking to me, trying to steer me away from the thing that I truly wanted. And sometimes we do that. Sometimes we are our worst enemy. I know for me, I'm all my life I was, it's easier to be my own worst enemy than it is my best advocate. It's easier to say the negative things about ourselves because the negative things are easier to believe. It's harder to motivate yourself. I'm gonna be honest, I'm very nervous doing this, but through my presentation, you wouldn't have been able to see that. And quite frankly, I've talked to people doing podcasts and whatnot, and they've said, "Oh, you got to worry about sound quality." And yeah, I understand that this is not a professional podcast, and I understand that this is my very first video, and but I'm not doing it for the views. I'm doing it to bring my authentic self, you know, and to share with people, aspects of my story and aspects of the struggles that I worked through in life, and if that only helps one person. No, this isn't, I'm not throwing thousands of dollars in equipment. Um, I'm not looking for the recognition. I'm looking to help. And through this podcast, I am going to speak on real stories, and I'm going to bring my authentic self. And this is not to sell. If you want to be sold, you go visit Tony Robbins. This is me bringing my organic self and sharing struggles that I've gone through, sharing struggles that I know other people have gone through, and sharing what is needed to be heard in this world. And to, on a side note with that, briefly on what needs to be heard, it's the truth. And to not be sensitive, when we are sensitive in this world or sensitive in our lives, it's because there's something within us that's speaking to us. Why is there division in this world? Well, there's something within us that needs to be worked on. All the times in my life that I have experienced division, resentment, um, sensitivity, someone would give me constructive criticism, and I would just take that and I would just catastrophize it, make it bigger, make it into something that it really didn't need to be. And the reason is because of my insecurity, my lack of comfort and being able to work through the challenges. And so that's why, I've gotten into personal development because personal development's very intricate. And there are aspects of personal development that I focus on, which are boundaries. And I do work with, porn addiction and, helping people break that, cycle and break that, I don't want to use the term disease, but break that monkey, so to speak. Um, but I do also focus on, many areas of this life wheel that I keep talking about. And I, I just love it because of the personal transformation that I've gone through in my life. And when I started releasing the chains of all the limitations that were holding me back, I told myself, I'm not going to be afraid. Sure, I get afraid, but what separates someone who, I don't want to use the term succeeds because we're all successful. Success looks different for everybody, but the difference between, me cowering and listening to the lies that I'm telling myself is that, in those fears is me hearing those lies and pushing past. I've always been someone that if someone told me that I couldn't do something, that's when I started doing my best work. Because when someone told me I could not do something is when I would turn around and show them 5 different ways on how something could be done. Problem is when I would tell myself I couldn't do something, I had a hard time proving myself wrong because it was easier to listen to those lies. So I encourage you as you listen to this video and, the following videos that, have an open mind, just as I tell coaching clients that, to trust the process, our lives, our journeys, our seasons are exactly that. They're a journey. And, each path, there are smooth areas of that path, and then there are areas that, have hills, it may even seem like mountains, but trust the process, trust in yourself, and you're going to get out of it what you put into it. We got to do the work. And some of the key things that, in order to help do the work is we have to be accountable to ourselves. We have to hold ourselves accountable. We have to look at the areas that we are struggling in. It's easy for us to look at our strengths, but how often do we look at our weaknesses? How often do we accept our weaknesses? And that's a lot of the reason why when someone gives us constructive criticism that we may snap back. They may be telling us the truth, and the reason why we're snapping back is because hearing the truth hurts. And subconsciously, we may already know it. You know, we have to hold ourselves accountable. We have to be willing to do the work, and that's a strong word that I'm going to say again is we have to be willing to do the work, no matter what that work looks like. We have to be strong enough to look at the areas in our lives that we may have been running away from for so long. And sometimes that's tough. You're speaking to someone who knows. I know that. I ran away for many times, for a long time. I'm someone that's recovered from a depression. I'm not speaking of things and I'm not encouraging things that I have not done myself. And that's not saying that I know it all. I don't. If you want to be marketed and sold from someone who perceives that they know it all, this is the wrong podcast to listen to. Because how I'm going to help you is through my authentic story and through subjects that I have learned and I'm growing passionate about. I'm not just Nick the coach. I'm Nick the person who too doesn't know the answers to life. But what I do know the answers to is how I can live a limitless life. So I just want to thank you all for listening to this first video and thank you for the beginning of the support. And I I just hope that the following continues to grow and more importantly, I hope that if anything, even in this first video, that I touched at least one person. Because if one person got anything out of this video, um, that really means the world to me. So thank you for listening and see you all next time. Have a great day.